r/Nice Guy Stories by Redmond Dietes. Nice guy at university. I don't know if this counts as a nice guy, but I don't know where else to put this. I'll start by saying I didn't really help myself here, being a naive 18-year-old who spent a good 6 years in an all-girls school and therefore had no experience with men. I, 18 female, met a guy Ram, 22 man, through an app used to connect university students. It wasn't the best as it glitched out quite a lot, but I figured as long as I wasn't utterly alone at university then it would be worth it. Ram would be an international student from India, and he was going to do his masters. I told him that I'm Indian too, but I was born and raised here so I don't really know a lot about India or the culture. We exchanged Snapchats, and it seemed to be pretty normal. He would message me every morning. I'm pretty sure he would wait until it was morning for me sometimes. After a bit, it started to get weird. He started asking me for pictures of myself to see what I looked like, even though there were pictures of me on my profile on the app, and he even tried to get me to send a full-length picture of myself. I refused to do this for him, and he got upset and said that I could make it better by sending him a picture of me blowing a kiss at him. I asked one of my friends what to do about Ram, and she told him to weird him out by talking about astrology. This completely backfired, as he decided that astrologically there was a high chance of us dating since our horoscopes went very well together. However, I told him that both astrologically and scientifically there would be no chance of us ever being anything more than friends. I asked him about all the times he hit on me later, and he said that he was just trying to impress me. He would sometimes message me about his problems. I would to listen, more like read, to them. But I still tried to remain distant. I felt rude for wanting to ghost him, but figured that I would just keep him at a distance. Although at one point, he asked me to help him get rid of an erection because apparently he didn't know what to do. I told him that I didn't know what to do either, and he said that as a science student I should know. I still refused to do anything for him, and got upset and said that he's not a bad person and that it's natural to have an erection, and that he didn't want me to do anything bad either. I still told him that I wouldn't be helping him. At university, he had to isolate so he couldn't go out to get food or anything. He didn't know anyone when he got there since he had to stay in his room for 2 weeks and not interact with anyone in his flat. This meant that he ended up begging me to buy him things as I was the only one he knew at that time. He said he wanted a universal adapter and some food, milk, bread, eggs. I told him I didn't know where I could get him an adapter, but I could get him the food he asked for. I told him that I would give it to his accommodations reception so the staff could bring it to him, but he said he wanted me to come directly to his room. I told him that it wouldn't be a good idea while he was in isolation, but he insisted it would be fine and it wasn't breaking the rules. I still said that I would give his things to the reception. Either way, he seemed grateful. He said he wanted bed sheets and pillows too, but I told him I couldn't help him with that because I didn't have enough money to cover those items. Later on, he ended up begging me to go to an Freshers Week event with him. I told him that I had plans to go somewhere else, even though it was a lie. He still continued begging until I gave in. He asked me to meet him outside his accommodation at 11 PM, and he showed up around 20 minutes late with a bunch of new friends. At the event, we met someone called AJ who became a mutual friend. A few weeks later, AJ invited me to his birthday, but I ended up leaving early because of Ram, who kept trying to hold my hand. The next day, he asked me about where I went and who I was with, whether they were boys or girls, after I left. He then got upset when I didn't want to go to a nearby beach which was about 15 miles away or let him make me food since I had plans to go out with some of my friends. I hung out with AJ and Ram again, but I left early. I told Ram that I could only stay a few hours at the most, but even after a few hours had passed he wanted me to stay more. He wasn't trying to touch me or hold my hand then, at least. I stopped talking to him as much because I got busy with studying, which meant that he would get upset if I didn't speak to him or reply to his messages every day. He sent me a paragraph about how he thought I was going to be a good friend when he first met and that he didn't have any friends at university. I hung out with just Ram twice after that, and then I decided that I didn't want anything to do with Ram anymore. The first time, Ram wanted me to drink beer with him. I tried telling him that I hate the taste of it, which is true, but he told me that the beer he had was good. I still hated it. He started complaining that I wasn't drinking my beer fast enough, which resulted in me getting slightly tipsy. He told me he wanted me to give him a hug, but when I did he told me it wasn't a proper one. He wanted me to lie down on his bed and cuddle with him. I really did not want to, but he tried, and since he was a lot bigger than me I couldn't do much about it. As I was trying to get him off me, he started filming me and put it on his Snapchat story. I asked him if he could delete it, but he said that he didn't see an issue with what he posted. When I managed to stand up, he was upset that I didn't want to give him a proper hug. I got a bit angry and said that I didn't want to cuddle with him in bed. He said that it was just a hug, and it's what friends do together. I still said no, and he said that I didn't know what a proper hug was. I got a bit more angry and, stupidly, said what is a proper hug then, because what you were doing wasn't one. He said that I couldn't get angry with him and pulled me onto his bed with him and wrapped his arms around me. I tried to get him off me, and saw that he had a boner. He said that it was perfectly natural and that I shouldn't be scared. He tried to get me to sit on his lap while he had an erection, and he managed to hold me down while I tried to get off him. I told him that I felt like it was getting a bit too late for me, and that I wanted to go back to my accommodation. He got a bit upset, and told me that it wasn't late and that I should stay for a few more hours at least. For some reason, I thought that it was my fault and that I hadn't set my boundaries clear enough, or being a bit tipsy made me not think straight. I agreed to meet him a second time. As soon as I got into his room, he picked up 2 glasses and a big can of beer. I told him that I didn't want any at all because I didn't want to drink. He said that was fine and I didn't have to if I didn't want to, but poured beer into the 2 glasses and handed one to me. I told him that I had told him that I didn't want to drink, but he said it was just 1 glass of beer and pushed it into my hand. I told him that I wasn't going to drink it at all and I would just hold it in my hand. He said that was fine, but a few moments later got upset that I wasn't drinking any beer. He tried to pressure me into it, but I stuck with what I said before and told him I wasn't going to drink any. He said he just liked sharing his things and that he was a nice guy. He said the same when he offered me food, which I refused. He wanted to watch a movie together, and I said sure because it didn't seem like anything dodgy. I have a lot of male friends, and their idea of watching a movie is just watching a movie and nothing else. We were both sitting down, and he tried to cuddle me again. I told him to stop, and he would agree to stop and then try again. I would have to get him off me, but he would just pick up my arm and put it around him. Each time I would try to take my hand away, he'd just move it back. He started leaning on my chest in a way that seriously made me uncomfortable. When I told him to stop, he would say that he wasn't doing anything wrong and then would continue putting his head into my chest. I told him to just stop touching me altogether at that point. He said that was fine, but still continued. He would keep trying to hold my hand and do the things he was doing before. He got another erection, and said that I could help his erection by cuddling him in bed, and he tried to force me onto his lap again. He wanted me to kiss him, but I refused. I tried to leave again, but he said that I couldn't use the excuse it being too late and it wasn't fair on him that I wanted to leave early. I started messaging one of my friends and telling him about what was going on, and he told me to leave because I had given Ram enough chances. Ram grabbed my phone out of my hands, turned it off and put it face down on my bed. Not much happened after that. I picked up my phone again and started looking through my gallery just to make myself look busy. He saw a picture of mine and commented that I looked chubby and started to make comments on the way my chest looked. At that point, I had just had enough. I told him that I was going to leave, and he said that he was going to leave too because he had a trial shift at a bar. He asked if he could get undressed in front of me, and I told him no. He got changed in his bathroom. When he came out, he could visibly see that I was upset and angry with him. He told me that it was a turn off for him when I didn't smile because he liked a smiling face, and I said that I didn't care. He did an impression of my facial expressions while walking towards me and poked me in the stomach, literally 2 seconds after I told him not to touch me. When I told him that I had just asked him to stop touching me, he said, "You are from Jupiter, you need help." That was the last time I saw him. He asked me to go to another event with him and go celebrate Diwali by drinking with his friends. I told him that I wasn't in the mood because of some personal issues each time. He said that instead of using it as an excuse I should just talk to him. Later on, he asked me to come to his room to drink gin with him and one of his course mates. I refused and reminded him of how he tried to pressure me into drinking beer with him last time I saw him, to which he said this is gin, not beer. He got upset that I didn't want to spend time with him anymore. We stopped talking completely after that. AJ messaged me a few times, and one time he asked me if I had seen Ram recently because he had been busy. After a few weeks, he stopped talking to me and I saw on his Instagram story that they had gone to the beach together. I knew that Ram had most likely said something about me, since I'm pretty sure AJ doesn't know anything about Ram being a creep. I also found out that he asked someone on my following who happened to be 17 if she was single and in the area he was in. One of my flatmates complained about me to him as well because he kept requesting to follow her on Instagram, despite her declining his request multiple times. Edit. Sorry if there are any spelling or grammar mistakes, and damn, this is longer than I expected. Yikes, that was sexual assault. No means no. I'm glad you got away from that piece of shit. I was angry reading this. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.